I started as an industrial designer doing exhibits. Went to school, majored in product design, where I learned many different crafts like woodworking, working in clay, plaster, plastic. The things I make are just kind of a evolution of my background. When I started, I really liked to draw. I started making figures that were like wire drawings, and they slowly became three-dimensional. And then at one point I had tried to make them move, and it was successful. I didn't know exactly how to make them move. I just started playing around. I work mostly with steel wire because it's easy to weld and very strong, and I can very quickly get an idea going. So this could be silver wire or this could be gold wire. I get a kick out of using humble materials and then making it do something rather than taking a very precious material and probably not even improving it. I use a small torch. It's oxy-acetylene, very high temperature, somewhere between 4,000 and 6,000 degrees. It takes the high temperature to melt the steel so I can weld it. Sometimes I'll make a small sketch to plan an idea, to show how the power goes through the structure, to get a particular action like a mouth opening or wing flapping. And from the sketch, then I'll immediately start working, plan the mechanism, make sure it works, and then complete the figure. The way I start is to prove the mechanism. If I have an idea of a linkage, I have to make sure it works. So I start with the basic structure of power train and the linkages to make sure that they function, because the gears have to slide properly and you have to get an action within a certain amount of space. I try to incorporate in the machines all the different actions that I could come up with, mechanical linkages and universal joints, gear reductions, gear speed-ups. Also, I've used a lot of parts from children's toys, like squeakers and friction gears. Some of the machines are battery operated, some electric for power. But it seems that the most successful are the hand crank. It's not a good idea to follow a sketch too close, because then you're trying to force the material in a direction it doesn't want to go. After I have proved my idea that the thing will function, then I let the structure underneath kind of determine the shape and the look and the final look of the object. Make a mistake, you can just cut it out and start over. It's very fluid, very plastic, and you can work it back and forth almost like clay. If it's not the right size, you can just cut out a part of it and start over, but you don't have to completely destroy it. I let the structure and the motion kind of dictate the way the machine is going to go. And it's kind of one of my pet policies: don't fight the material. Let the material tell you what to do. And since I've taken that approach, I have very few failures. A lot of the ideas are conceived in the the wire. I will find a mechanism through research, like some kind of special linkage, and then I'll build the linkage, and then the linkage will then lead to other ideas. Some linkages that are very sophisticated that I found in a book will lead me to where a whole face will move rather than just a mouth. The welding goes very fast and it's very strong, so I can quickly capture an idea. I don't have to fumble around. So when I get an idea, I can immediately try it out to see if it works. Well, after I prove the mechanism and make sure that it works, and I get the desired function like hair move or wings move, then I've solved it, I know it's going to work, then I go ahead and complete it so that it'll be a complete statement when you look at it. I strengthen it, fill it in as much as I think is necessary so that you can get a quick identification of what is going on. And then I add the final look to it after I'm sure that the mechanism is going to work. Being able to work close without destroying the piece is just from practice. There's been a lot of failures. If I don't get my torch out fast enough when the metal is molten, because it has to be molten to join together, and if I don't get my torch out fast enough, the piece will collapse. And that comes just with practice. I'm almost forced to work fast because I only have so much time to get in with a torch, get the job done, and get out. If I stay any longer or hesitate, I'll melt that particular area. And then when you melt it, you're in more trouble because you have to cut that out and then start over, and generally it starts getting messy at that point. From the machines, I kind of evolved into jewelry. Then I kept exploring the jewelry area, and it kept getting more interesting, adding stones. There were times in the beginning I called it sculpture to wear because they were like small miniature pieces that people could wear. I just feed it in and bend as I go. It's like having one continuous wire that just goes into the figure. It's really just a joy to watch the metal flow. Not only that is enjoyable, it's enjoyable to see to solve a problem. Trying to separate whether it's a craft or art, I approach it as I'm a craftsman, that my work has to be well made and ingeniously done, and if it's art, that's a plus. First thing is it has to be well made, and it is well thought out. And so I consider myself first a craftsman, and if I'm an artist, that's just something extra. I think the main thing in being an artist is that you have created your own problem. When somebody else gives you a problem to solve, they're taking away the prime, which I think is the prime thing that makes a work of art, is that the artist himself has decided to do it. When I first started, and I think a lot of the young artists do the same thing, they will work and pray. But you cannot pray when you work that something has touched your hand and that you're a great artist and that whatever I do is going to be all right. That while you're working, I have to concentrate that the only thing that people can receive from this particular work is what I put in it, consciously put in it. And that's how I relate to people. It has to be consciously put into the piece of work before it is received by somebody else. That is the moment, and you have to put it in at that time. There's no way that it can subconsciously or miraculously come into the piece. It's only because I have put it in that somebody will receive it on the other end. The little knobs that I put on the wire have almost become a trademark, and the reason for doing that is twofold. One is to darken the wire and burn it. When I heat the wire and burn it, it turns black. And the other thing is that it becomes a decoration. I try to make them nice to look at, but they really come alive when somebody uses them, when somebody turns the crank. Then they become part of it. And then that is another dimension.